Introduction. It is a strange thing, writing from the depths of grief. I do not know where or with whom my words will land. Certainly my writing exists to serve me, in some kind of grasping at the last strings of hope attempt to make meaning of my sudden loss. Or perhaps it makes more sense to call it the first strings of hope. When we pay attention to our grief, we find a forgotten land of strength and hope within us that emerges afresh. But will my words land with readers? I wondered to how many people my particular situation, the sudden loss of a therapist due to a non-death related cause, could possibly apply. Is it really reasonable to expect the ramblings arising from a grief-stricken brain to be relatable to anyone other than clients in my exact situation? Perhaps my story can apply more generally, to help those navigating unusual, unorthodox, uncommon, misunderstood losses, or, for that matter, anyone struggling with experiences that are difficult to make sense of. Or perhaps I write as a trainee therapist, wanting to make my mark in the field, an angry sort of gesture, something that, if it could speak, would say, "Look what you all missed. How come this issue isn't discussed more?" Maybe it is humbler and less drastic than all of that. I'm simply a bereaved person writing for the bereaved. And yet, a theme that emerges in all these possibilities is that my work cannot remain purely my own grief outlet. A few months after my loss, I felt compelled to start writing this book because of an overpowering feeling that nobody understood. Nobody understood why losing my therapist was such a big deal. Nobody understood what I needed. Nobody understood how to be there for me, how to stay. Those were my initial feelings, and they expanded to contain the awareness that I didn't understand, and perhaps in some ways I was enmeshing my confusion with others' confusion. So what began as a means to achieve personal understanding and healing for myself by breaking through a wall of isolation shifted into some kind of transcendental attempt towards relationship. I have lost, or rather, loss has happened to me, and my act of writing is a creative rebuilding, a way of connecting with something or anything. Documenting painful incidences and expressing emotion through writing has been shown to have therapeutic benefits. The act of putting what feels like an ever-confusing, abstract internal experience into the shared, externalized realm of language somehow loosens the knots of our tangled experience, making it more concrete and understandable. I imagine that is what Shakespeare meant when he wrote, "Give sorrow words, the grief that does not speak knits up the overwrought heart and bids it break." Yes, writing does make our grief more real and less easy to run from, but in so doing, something inside us expands. Something heals and we don't feel as lost. Seeing our words on the page, words that millions of suffering individuals have used before us and will use after us, is another way in which we connect to humanity with our pain. As you read, you may feel my attempts at connection are at times desperate, and at others more at peace with the ebb and flow of isolation and mutual togetherness that is the natural consequence of a grief simultaneously unique and shared by many. Trying to make my way through a loss that I do not understand will see me ask from you, do you understand what I'm saying? Am I alone in this? And if I'm not, can I help you? And why write a book? I question myself. Is creativity just another way in which we escape from the ruins lying in front of us? Writing about myself in a raw, authentic, and candid way has in fact felt like the opposite of escaping. Although at times I've questioned whether this is truly the case, self-disclosure, how unnatural it was for me in the past and how fearful it remains now, has seen me doubt my process of writing at every step of the way. But no, writing this book, I am sure, has been a way of reforming the ruins that lie in front of me, sticking them together in new ways in order to make sense of them, even before I can think about what that sense might be. There will always be more questions than answers in my writing, which reflects, I imagine, a common characteristic of grief. And I invite you to lean into your own unanswered questions. When we are in the deep end of a huge mess with no immediate answers, asking questions with compassion and curiosity can be among the bravest steps we take.